Hey everybody, what is up? My name is Eric McGrew with Eric's Tree Service in Montrose, Colorado. I'm also with Elevated Office Podcast. This video, of course, is brought to you by Gap Arborist Supply, Weaver Arborist, and also Just Send It Saws. And today, I am going to be going over the Weaver Cougar saddle that I used in my photo shoot yesterday, and a little bit more about it. We talked about it a little bit the other day. And I'm going to be comparing it to the really basic WLC 500 saddle that I have right here, and what you might want to know about it. What the typical uses of them are, and what you can kind of expect from them. So that if you know anybody who is a climber new to the industry, sorry I'm messing with this heater over here, it's kind of cool today. They will be able to, you can kind of guide them, okay? So this saddle right here is what they call the WLC 500. Now this is a super basic saddle. Essentially this saddle is going to be like almost a waist belt for like pole climbing that has leg straps on it, okay? That's just basically what it is. And these saddles are most commonly purchased for like large production companies with a ton of employees that have a high turnover rate or that don't climb a lot, okay? Can you climb this in this saddle and make it work for tree work? You can. It's totally possible. However, to be fair, it's not that comfortable, and it's because of the way it's designed. This one here is probably the most comfortable you're going to find of this style saddle, and that's because it actually has the leather pads on the legs like this and in the back, but it's not much padding, okay? I'm trying to give you the lowdown on this. Look how thin that padding is, all right? These saddles are right at $200, I think, or somewhere right around there. So once again, this is the WLC by Weaver. They sell a ton of these, but it's mainly to high production companies or old school climbers. It's got a couple of tool loops on it, as you can see. It does have daisy chains on the side, so you can put like a Shimbiner XL, or you can put a vault or a transport or whatnot. And this one in particular, I used it SRT when I did the photo shoot because they wanted updated photos of this thing. But I just used both bridges together like this to provide the attachment point. This is technically what they call a split tail saddle. So the idea is it's a moving rope system. You have your line connected to this one here, and then this one would have your split tail connected to it in like a Blake's or a taut line hitch, okay? So this is the saddle. It's, you know, if you're on a super budget and you're climbing, you can make this work. This would be more comfortable for spar work than it would be for like canopy work, but it's not going to be your most comfortable saddle out there by any means. The center of gravity is pretty low, as you can see. The bridge is this webbing bridge, and it's attached to the top loop of the leg, so it kind of tilts you back a little bit. And if you want to build core ab muscles, wear this saddle, because the way you have to lean yourself up to stay balanced, this thing will give you ab muscles in no time. So that's that saddle. Now, its sister saddle that really was derived from those saddles is this one right here. And this is the Cougar. Now, when I first started climbing, I was climbing in the, what's it called? The Buckingham Ergolite. And that's a pretty decent saddle, but I found that the back pads and things compressed real quick, and it wasn't very comfortable. This is using memory foam back pads in it, and this by far, even over my tree motion, this is the coolest saddle that I've ever worn as far as like keeping your body cool from getting like sweat and stuff. This stuff actually breathes really, really well. I was really surprised. So I had put this saddle on before. I had kind of hung in it and things like that, but I had never really fully climbed in this saddle, okay? But this saddle right here is totally worth the money. In fact, I think it's a little underpriced for the quality of saddle you get out of it. I know comparable saddles to this one are more expensive than this one is. This one, I think on Weaver's website, this is the Cougar, as you might know it, or the WLC 760 or something like that. This is the one with the nylon floating bridge, right? So it's a nylon bridge, but it's thinner. It's more like a piece of rope. It has the back pads and all that in it. This one right here is about $280. So just think about that. That little one that I just showed you, that red one that had no padding in it whatsoever, was $200. This one's $280. Your money is in buying this one. If you're getting, like, if somebody's getting into climbing and they want to know if they kind of want to climb or not, this is the saddle for them to get. So let's talk about a few of the features and what I know about it. So yesterday I climbed the whole day in this saddle. Most saddles have a break-in period to them, and it might take a day or two to get them kind of like broken into what you want it to feel like. And that can be frustrating because they're kind of stiff, they're uncomfortable, and once you break them in, then they feel better. That little $200 saddle, this one here, this one's going to have a much longer break-in period to it because it's actual leather. I mean, it's pretty. I'm probably going to hang it up in the shop because of just how well made it is. It's super well made. But because of it being leather and stuff, it has to really break in before it really gets comfortable, if that makes sense, all right? So, but once again, it's $200 versus this one being $280 and being super comfortable off the get-go. Tree care, okay. Nobody said anything, which is good. But, so this saddle here is really comfortable to wear. I was really surprised. I put it on, I climbed in it all day. At the end of the day, after about 7 hours in it, I was starting to feel a little bit of, pressure on my legs back here. The leg pads are a little thin, narrow I should say, not thin. The padding in them super thick. They're just a little narrow. Like Tree Motion's a little bit bigger and stuff like that. And I was talking to the guys at Weaver, and we talked about a few things about this saddle. Some which won't go into this saddle, but will go into their new saddle they're developing, and I'm helping them develop that. And then some things that they might change with this saddle that won't be too aggressive, because you start coming out with all these ideas, and essentially you've gone from making this saddle to a whole new saddle. So they didn't want to do that. They wanted to leave this saddle kind of like it is. But overall, you could easily do a half day or 2/3 of a day in this saddle and be comfortable with it. It has daisy chains on the side for your chainsaw rack. I even have a CT, they call it the truck, which is a tool carrier on the side. I do like these little plastic ones for just simple tools like racking, this kind of stuff, because if it gets caught too hard or anything, it flexes real good and it bends out. I do usually carry a transporter on my saddle as well, but because I was just setting this one up for the photo shoot, not to use every day, I didn't swap it over. If something ever happened to my Evo, since I own this, I probably would just keep climbing in this for a while before I spent the money on another, European style saddle or something like that. Hopefully Weaver will have their new saddle out, and I'll be on that here really soon. So, I mean, literally, this thing is better than I thought. It's better than the Ergo Light that I used to climb in as far as comfort goes. It is a little heavier, okay? So keep that in mind. It's going to be a little heavier than the Ergo Light, but it's not going to be heavier than any of the other saddles in this realm. And the other saddles in this realm are going to be those like from Notch or whatever. So just kind of keep that in mind. I did make some modifications to this saddle that were very, very well planned, and they benefited this saddle's efficiency a lot. I didn't really miss climbing in this saddle, or miss my Evo climbing in this saddle for the conveniences, if that makes sense. So what I did, like I told you guys the other day, I did put a Petzl split ring on there, an open, and I put a DMM micro swivel, and then I did put another split ring on between the leg and the waist loops with a paw, and then I had it for my lanyards. I did put a shimbiner, of course, on there to rack my saw on because I love it, and I just used the loops for the tool loops for different, you know, racking of tools and stuff. I was wearing my prototype suspenders with it, and it worked amazingly. And then, of course, I have the CT truck, which is essentially the same kind of concept as like the Petzl carry tool or whatever, and that works really well. With these two rings on the edge of the bridge, I found it really easy to connect lanyards there and take the weight off my side Ds. In fact, I didn't even use my side Ds yesterday. And even though this is a little bit tighter than what you'll find on like the Evo, this was like really helpful. It changed the saddle from being kind of difficult to use with your lanyard for pulling on your hips too much, to being able to use your lanyard like I like to, because I run 2 long lanyards, so I use my lanyards as like moving rope systems. They're secondary climbing systems is what they are for me when I don't want to be on the SRT or I need better work positioning or whatever. And these rings right here made all the difference. And then having this ring with a swivel made climbing so effortless and just so clean. So honestly, that's a very minimal investment. You don't really need this rigging paw. I put it on there just to see if it would be a benefit with my lanyards. It did help, but it wasn't absolutely needed. And this thing was like, these simple mods transformed this saddle into being a very, very productive and comfortable and efficient saddle for movement in the canopy and work positioning, okay? I know some guys love using their side Ds and they use traditional style saddles. That's fine if that's what you like. If you do, this saddle is going to be perfect for you anyway. You can adjust here on the side with these straps here. You can adjust the length of your bridge so you can pull it out further from you or pull it in closer to you, depending on how big of a person you are or what kind of bridge, you know, slack you like to have. Some people like them really loose. Some people prefer them to be a bit tighter. It's really up to you. And then the legs have a very simple and efficient system for, what's it called? For, oh man, my mind's slipping. For opening and adjustment. It's got Velcro, you unvelcro it, you can adjust the length right there. And it's also a clip so that you can open the leg and get in easier and close it up. So overall, I mean, I paid a lot more money for the what's it called? The Ergolite, and I wish I had known about this saddle when I got started. It would have been so much more cost effective, and I made a lot of money in my Ergolite. I climbed in that thing for a long time before I upgraded. Because, I mean, you know, the European saddles and stuff like that, any of those top tier saddles with like the Evo, the Denali, any of that, they're a lot of cash. But this thing right here, I wish I had known about it. If I had known about it, I would have climbed in it and it would have lasted me even longer. This back pad is just really a step up from a lot of the other ones that I've seen on the market. And for the price, I don't think you guys can beat it, to be honest with you. I'm not just saying that because I am sponsored by Weaver. I had mentioned this saddle before because I knew a lot of people climbed in it. I know a lot of guys who go and buy their own saddles that work for like Asplund or whatever. they tend to buy these because they get a discount on them and whatnot, and then they talk about how great they are, and I was kind of like, well, I don't know, how good can it be? But really, it's pretty good. After climbing in it, I can vouch that it's really good. And for your money spent, if you know somebody who's getting into climbing and they're not sure yet, they think they want to be a climber, but they're trying to figure it out and they don't want to spend a lot of money, this saddle is a good starting point for sure. If they want to get into like more aggressive and technical work positioning setups and things like that, more like what you'd be able to do with the more advanced higher end saddles, these little Petzl split open rings are the key to making it really work for you. I don't remember how much the split rings are. The open rings are maybe $60 or something like that each. So you've got I've got about $250 in rings and swivels. Oops. And you don't have to have a swivel, but I really like swivels. I think that swivels make a saddle's bridge work more efficiently. I'm big on swivels. Everything I have pretty much has a swivel on it. My lanyards have swivels on them. My bridge devices have swivels on them, and it just goes on and on from there. So I do think that it's something you guys might want to look into if you know somebody that's looking for a new saddle. So overall, probably one of the best saddles for your bang for your buck. I do think so. There are a bunch of other saddles out there, and they're all pretty good as well. But just compared money to money, I think this is probably going to be one of the better. Do know though, one of the things that you might find, especially if you're a little bit bigger guy like me, this belt at times can kind of cut into your stomach a little bit because it's webbing, and as you bend over and you're in weird, like especially if you're kind of leaning and twisting, it can kind of cut in a little bit. But most of the more affordable saddles are going to have those little inconveniences with them because they're just not putting as much material into the saddle. That's what it is. It's not a lack of design. It's just trying to keep the saddle budget for what it is. I'm sure that with time this belt would also soften up, and that would be a big difference for you as well. So on the lower back, it does support pretty well. Now, it is a fairly large back pad for a traditional saddle, but it's not like extremely large. And this does ride like a traditional saddle. Hold on, I'm going to put it on real quick so you guys can kind of see what it looks like on. It does ride higher than like your saddles would, than like the European saddles. So it's more like the traditional, it rides way up in the lower back right here. And so it gives pretty good support. But like any of them, at this price point, it's going to be a limited amount of lower back support. Like I said, about 6 hours, 7 hours, especially if you're doing like significant canopy work and you're having to like move in really out of, like stretched out positions, out of normal positions, it's going to start kind of getting to you a little bit. Does that make sense? But overall, so just kind of giving you an idea, when I stand straight up, it comes up to just above the bottom of your lower back. And that memory foam allows you to kind of use the saddle in a way to kind of cinch it up and make it really tight around you. So yeah, it's totally within the higher end of back support for this price range of saddle. Once again, it's $280. So we're not talking about a saddle that's, $600 or whatever. It's just $280. And so as you can see, this rides right at your stomach. So if you have a little bit of a poochy stomach like I do, it cuts in at certain angles. But it does pretty well. It is very balanced when you're sitting in it. When you hang in it, sorry I don't have a way to hang in it out in my house here, but when you hang in it, you don't get tipped backwards. It hangs pretty straight. You're pretty, like I sit in it pretty straight up when I'm just hanging from SRS or MRS systems, and it's really balanced. So it doesn't take a lot of effort to move in this thing at all. It's very fluid. Now, you do get a bit more friction on this webbing bridge here. And I did find that at times it would kind of creep over to one side. And I noticed that more when I had like a lot of weight on my right hand side. So when I had like my saw on and I had like a ring on or a pulley on for rigging, it kind of held me over to that one side a little bit. Whereas my Evo, doesn't do that, and some of the even the Denali didn't do that. So maybe that'll give you a little bit of insight as to what it's like for this. And of course, you have these rings to hook tools and things to if you want, and that's on both sides. Now you are limited in your daisy chains. You have one daisy chain right here, and you have one daisy chain right here. So keep that in mind. It is a little bit more limited in that way. You do have your suspender loops if you're into suspenders. I've really gotten into suspenders recently. I find that they save my back with big saws for sure. So you have your suspender loops there, and then up here on the back, and then you have lower D's that you can also clip stuff into back there, and you have one on the side that you can rack into. The smaller D's are a little bit more challenging to me because it's kind of small. The carabiner just barely fits in. You have to make sure it fits, and that's kind of a challenge, but it can be used in a pinch if you need. And other than that, yeah, it's about all I can say for it, unless you guys have any questions on it, because it's pretty, it's a basic saddle, right? That's why I'm saying if you've been in climbing for years and years and years, you might like this saddle, but most likely you're going to be into something a little bit more advanced. But if you needed a backup saddle in case you're afraid your gear was going to get stolen by accident or whatever, not by accident, somebody's going to steal it on purpose. But if you're afraid because of the way things are, your gear might get stolen, that might be a saddle for you to have as a backup, because it's very affordable and it's comfortable. You wouldn't be regretting you had to climb in it every day. At least I don't feel so. If your good saddle was stolen, if that makes sense. If your higher end one was. So I don't know. Just thought I'd share it with you because talked about it on Saturday or Friday or something, I don't remember, and then I just thought I'd go over that again. The photo shoot went well. They said they had a bunch of good photos and things from the shoot, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they came up with. A lot of it was product specific, as far as they were just trying to shoot very specific product in use, and it's not so much focused on me, which is fine with me. Some of it will be just like social media photos, which are more of me. Not a big deal. So yeah. Other than that, I've got a really cool job coming up in November. So probably not next week, but the week after. You guys will start seeing some from that. If you haven't ever looked at Ouray, there's a town near me called Ouray. It's Ouray. And the city has hired me to do a bunch of tree work. We've got 10 or 11 90-foot-ish, 85-foot, 90-foot cottonwoods to lay over. We're just going to fell them from the ground. We're going to use the skid to move stuff around. Bear with me before I get onto that. I'm going to read Sean's question. What material are the slings that go to the leg loops? The Evo has elastic. These are an elastic as well. They're not elastic cord like the Evo. These are elastic strip. Trying to think what else uses them. There's something else that I've seen that uses it. It's like a really soft material in the hand. it almost feels like cotton, but it's elastic, and they tend to do pretty well. So hopefully they will hold up a long time. I know that guys have been running the Cougar for, years, and they've never had to change their elastic straps. So I don't know. But it is an elastic. It's just not the elastic cord. It's actually like a webbing that's elastic. So it's like 1 inch wide or something like that. Yeah, kind of like the harness, exactly. That's it. It's like suspenders. Some of the suspenders have elastic, and that's what that's kind of like. Hey, Clogger Pete, what's up, man? Thanks for the posters and everything. I haven't been able to put them up yet because our shop's not done yet because the house is on hold. But I have to give a huge shout out to Lucas at Just Send It Sauls. He's one of my sponsors, of course. Just as I mentioned, Weaver, Gap, and Just Send It Sauls, Gap Arborist. And Clogger sent me out for the photo shoot a brand new pair of Clogger Zeros. They're the G2s. They have the updated lace loop on them. And I love those pants. Clogger is my favorite pant. I even buy Clogger chaps for guys who are wanting chaps. But thanks, Clogger. Pete, you guys are great. Keep it up, man. Chris says, rode in a Buckcat for years, pretty similar to the Cougar. Never had to change those elastic points out, and they could take some abuse. Yeah, I totally agree, Chris. It's very similar stuff, right? It's kind of that same material, so yeah. Really need to get Clogger on the UK, man. Heard great things. Yeah, they're awesome. They're really awesome. Pete, if you ever want to sponsor me, I'm up for it. Just let me know. Just saying. No pressure though. No pressure. I've actually got to get back to Lincoln about the rope guard. He sent me a rope guard, and I've been so busy I just hadn't gotten to it. But that thing looks cool too. I definitely see the benefits of it for like big trees with blind spots. And I definitely see the benefit for newbies. I think that the rope guard is going to be a great tool for training courses, for chunking down big pieces of wood so that noobs can cut face cuts and stuff with more confidence, that they're not going to cut their rope or their lanyard. And I think it's a great deal. I have some big trees I've got to remove, and I just haven't had the chance to get around to them yet with the rope guard. But that's when I'm going to start using them. I'm actually thinking also, Clogger Pete, if you're still on, I might use it in this upcoming job I was telling everybody about. So if you haven't ever heard of it, go check out online, Ouray, Colorado. That's Ouray, Colorado. And there they have this canyon that has a big waterfall in it. It's called Box Canyon. Yeah, they are CE certified, I think, if I remember correctly. Let me check. Please forgive my house. My house is a mess because of the renovation, and I'm going to walk through it, and it's going to look awful. But Clogger Pete could tell us better if he's still on. Pretty sure they are CE certified, though. Do not remember off the top of my head, because in the States, we don't bother with stuff like that. Let's see what they've got here. They are UL certified, I know. Here, let's flip you guys around. Oh, they are not. Sorry. That's why I wanted you to answer, Clogger Pete. Mr. Pete knows. That's probably why you don't see them in the UK. They are UL certified, though, and this is their UL on the back. That's what it is. Are you guys thinking about getting them CE certified, Clogger Pete? Do you know? Just curious. Because I know... Yeah. Sorry, guys. I know a lot of people are... Okay. Well, I mean, that's a good problem to have, Pete. But man, I know that the market would open up in Europe for you guys too, because I guess SIP and ArborTech are the two biggest competitors you guys would have out in Europe. And who's the other one, Sean? Who else is out in the UK that everybody uses? Well, I guess Still and Husky have their own, Husqvarna have their own climbing gear too out there, right? Pants and jackets and stuff. But yeah. So once again, Uray has this canyon. Oh, Fanner. I forgot about Fanner. I'm sure you do, Chris. I grew up in Georgia. So yeah, it's climbing in the South is its own beast, right? Everywhere is different, but climbing in the summer and 95 degree, 100% humidity. Whoa, Fahrenheit, that is 95 Fahrenheit for those who are from the UK. Yeah, or New Zealand. It's not fun. So what's going on though is that I have to rappel down a cliff into the box canyon and cut trees off the side of the cliff and then haul them out with a skyline down to the parking lot. And so yeah, I'm gonna probably be using the rope guard. Actually, I'm looking at ways to use it so it protects my line from the edge of the rock face. No, Pete, you guys shouldn't. That's why I use you guys. You guys have the design and the quality. Please don't compromise on quality just for speed. I don't want that. I don't want to pay more, but I would pay more to have you guys stuff, to be fair. It would be worth it to me. I only climb. I have like 6 pair of you guys' pants. I only climb in your stuff. That's just the way it is. What I am looking for is a clogger climbing jacket. Just saying. I've already had my conversation with Lincoln about that one, but I am totally waiting for a clogger climbing jacket. That would be awesome. So I'm looking at using that rope guard as a rope protector for the edge of the cliff so that I can get down to these trees so that my rope doesn't get gnarled up by the rock on the edge of the cliff, because it has a sharp breakover on it. And I mean, I'm taking other clogger, hold my beer. Yeah, so that job's going to be kind of sketchy, to be sure. I've got to do the cliff rappelling, and then another one. I don't know what I'm going to do exactly yet, but I'm probably going to set a high line across between a tree up on the cliff and then a tree that's taller or almost as tall as the one that I have to remove, because it's a pine. It's been dead about 6 years, and it's standing, and it's crispy. So I want to set a high line and actually anchor my SRS line off of the high line and have a floating anchor in the center, if that makes sense. So to do that, I will actually be using my GRCS to tension the line and set it so that I can get the tension I need and climb off of that, so that if the tree crumbles under me, I don't have to worry about it. I won't be attached to the tree fully. My climbing anchor will be floating between 2 other points, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't come apart, I'll still have to use I'll use the new skid steer, and I'll set a high line, and we'll trolley the logs out in the high line down to the parking lot. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of creative rigging. That's going to be very, very cool. I'm really looking forward to that job. I'm just hoping it doesn't start snowing too bad on us, because this is getting that time of year, and they're at 7,800 feet in altitude or something like that, so they get snow quite quickly. Thanks, TJ. Yeah, it can be. Please know, though, I think most of you guys that watch me regularly know that I'm pretty focused on safety. So I try real hard not to like rush that kind of stuff. I bid a few more days than I had hoped it would take, just to give me the leeway that I need to set up rigging stuff the way it needs to be done. Come on out, Sean. If you want to come help me, I am so up for that. I could use another skilled climber out there helping me. That's up to you though. I've got, like I said, I've got to prune. I'll do some out of the lift just for speed, but there's at least 10 or 11 more cottonwoods that are like 85 foot tallish that I've got to prune either in the lift or climbing, and it just depends on how spacing goes, how the mud goes, because if the mud's real bad, the lift doesn't work as well because of the outrigger sinking and stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be unique. I'm starting that job, let's see, maybe the end of next week, but probably like the 8th or something like that of November, most likely. Somewhere around the 8th, I'll start it, and I have about 17 days booked for it because it's a big job. It's like, how many is it? 10 fells, 11 prunes, and then I've got 3, 4, 5, 6 more prunes, so that's 17 prunes, and then I've got 7 removals in Box Canyon and another like 8 things to prune in Box Canyon. Not all are trees. Some are like trees that had been cut in the past and now they're sticking out too far and people like run into them or whatever. So it's not a big deal. But yeah, I've got about 40 to 50 trees I've got to work on out there. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be a lot of work. And I've got to haul all the wood, so the skid's going to get good use out there lifting up those logs. My green weight calculator says that the cottonwoods, because most of the cottonwoods I'm removing are somewhere between 28 and 34 to somewhere between 28 to 34, 36 inches in diameter. And I'm figuring that at about 14 feet long, if the average is right, then they'll weigh somewhere right around 3,200 pounds each. And my skid can lift right around 3,300 pounds. But the grapple that Bobcat makes is massive. It's an 82-inch long grapple, and it is like, what is it? I want to say it's right around 1,200 pounds. So I have to deduct 1,200 pounds from what the lift capacity of the skid is approximately. It'll probably lift more than what they rate it, because they usually do, because they try to keep people from like flipping skids over and that kind of stuff. I don't know why they're worried about people flipping skids. It's not like anybody would ever flip over a skid steer, right? But so I just have to kind of play with that a little bit. We've got a 20-foot flat deck that I use to load the skid that I'll be loading logs on. And then we've got a 14-foot long dump trailer that we'll be dumping straight out of. So we can move a lot of logs in one go. And the way that we'll do that is we will drive both to the yard. We'll dump the 14-foot dump trailer first. Then we'll disconnect from the dump trailer. And we'll choke chains around a couple of logs at a time and use the pickup truck to slide them off of the 20-foot flat deck so that we can get more moved in one go. Because if I have it loaded with logs, I can't fit the skid on it. It's just kind of how it goes. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting job. It's going to be fun. And then I have like a whole bunch of acreage of standing dead pinyon, pine, and juniper or western cedar to remove with in this mountain forest that I'm just going to drive through with the skid steer, cut them down, grab them, and move them around. I don't have to haul them. They just want them on site. So we just have to limb them up and move them around. Actually, I don't TJ. I'm actually gonna limb up everything and cut all that, and then I'll have to haul most of the wood. My chipper's only a 10-inch chipper, so, but I can handle it. I have a big enough yard to dump it in, and I bid travel and everything in it, so it's not a big deal. I just be filling up the yard really quick. That's the biggest part. But somebody also gave me a lead on a place where I can dump some material out there and see. So I might not have to travel quite as far with all the wood, because it's a lot of wood really quick. You know, I mean, I bought a 16,000 pound flat deck trailer. That's what I should have said. I think it's a 20,000. It's not. It's a 20-foot, 16,000 pound trailer, but it only has a 12,000 pound haul capacity on it, because the chassis of the trailer is, you know, 4,000 pounds. And it was the only one I could find in town that was reasonably priced, and that wasn't cheap. But, you know, you work with what you got, and so we'll take care of that. But yeah, that's going to be a fun job. And then I'm looking forward to that forestry work. If I can get things worked out, I'm trying to get me a grapple tree shear. So the tree shear should cut trees up to 20 inches in diameter at the roots, and I can just grapple them and move them around and drop them down. So yeah, be fun. So that's just kind of what's going on right now with me. Hope this was beneficial for you guys. Do you have any more questions or anything before I check out? I'll give you a few seconds because there's a delay on this thing, I know. But it was a fun experience getting the photo shoot done. Finally, my truck is fixed. The heater core was an issue. It was overheating real bad, and we got that fixed, so now it's running perfect. Unfortunately, it's a 2002 Dodge, so the dash just crumbled when we had to take the dash out to do the heater core. So I had to buy a new dash. It should be in on, what is today? Today is Tuesday. It'll be on Thursday. You too, Sean. Stay safe out there, man. I really appreciate all the support. All you guys. I see you guys on here regularly. TJ, MWHH Smith, Eb, Fontana, Clogger Pete, thanks for stopping by. Chris, you guys always stop by for a little bit. I even saw that, what's his name? Patrick Fitch stopped by. So that's cool. Thanks, William, George, Cooper, Abs, thanks. Logan, LibTech, yeah. Bebo and the Splicing Guru, thank you guys all for stopping by. It's always nice to see. I'm still amazed at how much of a reach my lives get. I mean, I don't always get a lot of people watching them in the moment, but within a few days, I'm usually over, 250 to 500 views, depending on what the topic is. And my account is reaching over 12 or 13,000 accounts a week, which is pretty amazing. But it's because of you guys supporting me too. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. And I'll keep you guys posted as new stuff comes out. Hopefully I'll get some stuff calmed down and I'll be able to do giveaways again. I have quite a bit of stuff I can give away now. So that'll be cool for you guys. And it's always cool for me to be able to share what my sponsors give me to you guys, because that's just cool. Plus, Lucas with Just Send It Saws is sending me a brand new fire mitigating saw, which I'll show you guys when it comes in. It's a fully ported, fully built 201 TC by Stihl. I'm running two Echo 2511Ts, but I don't have the, what's it called on them? Spark arrestor, so I can't use them in fire mitigation. But the 201 TC that's fully built, and it's going to have a custom paint and everything from Just Send It Saws. So it's going to be rad. I really think it's going to be cool. And I'll show you that stuff when it gets in. That'll be a number of weeks because he's just behind and whatever. But yeah, I'm looking forward to all that as well. And don't fear, you're going to see more stuff of me doing forestry work in the skid. I'm not giving up climbing. I'm just trying to balance a few things, because as I get older, I know I won't be able to climb forever. And I'm just trying to shift things into a way that I can manage my work and keep going on and support my family. But I still want to keep climbing and providing info for you guys. So thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you in the next one. Take care. Bye.